As a previous owner of a early 2015 MacBook Pro with Retina display and a YouTuber producing 4K videos, I was always low on storage. However, I find that this MacBook was still plenty powerful for the applications that I did run on a daily basis. For example, Final Cut Pro X. This notebook definitely had no high-end specs, but it rendered and exported 4K videos faster than my Adobe machine. The bottleneck was just a small SSD, which is by the way not replaced or upgradable with M-SATA SSDs. Apple has their own proprietary SSDs, and finally I did find a SSD which is cheaper than the original Apple ones and also offers some cool features. So here's my review of the OWC Aura 1TB SSD. You can find more information and compatible MacBooks listed down below in the description, but now let's get started. The first thing that you should do prior to upgrading your MacBook is to back up all your files or doing a time machine backup. You don't need to be a genius to upgrade the SSD, but you should be aware that you may lose your warranty or you could probably break your MacBook. All the tools are included and you should ground yourself before you start. The SSD comes in an anti-static bag with an external case for the original SSD only. So do not put the OWC SSD inside because it will probably destroy the SSD and the external case. Also, there was a USB 3.0 cable, 2 screwdrivers and a manual included. So let's do it, guys. Shut down your MacBook and flip it over. Make sure no cables or anything is connected and start removing the 10 Torx screws with the provided screwdriver for sure, because never use a knife or anything else. You will scratch your MacBook and destroy your screws. I did it because I lost the bet with flow and I was kinda drunk, but here's the outcome: a huge scratching on the back and I lost most of the screws, so don't do it. So be sure to apply enough downward pressure on the screws as you turn the screwdriver to make sure that you don't strip the screws. Now gently lift off the bottom plate after you have removed all of them, and then you can already see the motherboard. The SSD is located in the right top corner. Before you start removing it, you should disconnect the battery, so just to be sure. The battery connector is right under the SSD. You can use a flat screwdriver to lift it up, but be careful. Now remove the Torx screw from the SSD and gently slide it out of the connector. Then you can remove the foil on the heatsink and insert the new OWC 1TB SSD. It's time to put everything back together in the same way, so starting with the SSD screw, the battery connector, the aluminum backplate, and then reinsert and tighten all the screws. Use the right screwdriver provided in the package and do not over tighten them, so this is really dangerous. Now after this is done, you can open your SSD case. So just slide it up to the top and lift it up. Inside you can slide in your old original MacBook SSD and fix it with the screws provided. Never ever use the OWC SSD, you will break it. Now close the case the opposite way and turn it around, and then you can assemble it using the 2 screws provided. Finally, use the tape to cover the screws and then you have your external SSD. It's now time to boot up your Mac, and by default, if you just want to start it, there is no OS X on it. That means you will get a blinking folder. So to bypass that and start the actual recovery, you need to restart, hold down the Command, Option and R combination, and you have to do it immediately upon hearing the startup sound, then just hold it until you can see something on your screen. So now connect to your Wi-Fi and choose Internet Recovery to reinstall OS X or transfer the data from an old Mac or hard drive. I had no important data on mine, so I did choose reinstall. For Bootcamp, there's a tutorial down below because it's slightly different, but it's now also working. Unfortunately, yeah, my MacBook got stolen before I could do the tutorial. After it was finished, I could reboot and enjoy 960 GB of fresh SSD storage. Instead of the Mac HD, you will now see a new icon with the Aura SSD. It works perfectly as your main internal hard drive or SSD. However, there's a slight difference between the speeds. On 4-lane PCI interface SSDs, there will be a speed drop before and after benchmarking, but seriously, you won't notice it. I did 4K editing on the go just like on my original SSD, and there was no noticeable bottleneck, so definitely great. Now unfortunately someone stole my MacBook on the Balaton Sound Festival, so guys, I saved up really a long time for this. And now I need to cancel my holiday to get a new working machine, and I lost all my data. So yeah, life's a bitch sometimes, but it goes on. If you ever see my MacBook online on eBay or whatever, probably in Hungary, I scratched it, and on the back you can see it with Nifty also integrated, and you know that SSD I've shown you, that serial number. If you can see it anywhere online, please contact me immediately. It would be a great help for me to get those bastards. Thank you so much for watching. This is or was definitely the best upgrade ever. I couldn't afford a 1TB MacBook, so I bought the 128GB, used it for some time to generate money, and then I bought the 1TB SSD. Hands down, this is the best and only upgrade you can do to your Mac, but yeah, unfortunately it's now gone. But thanks for watching, guys. Have a look in the description to see more information and how to buy and where to buy it. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a nice day and bye bye.